Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is going to be a thoughts post slash story time, if you will. And I've just always wanted to do at least one video on sororities and fraternities because I've always had questions and I have heard horror stories and I've had my own run-ins with certain things. I've told y'all in certain videos very briefly about certain interactions that I've had with people. And let me just go ahead and get into it so y'all can better understand it because I don't want to talk in circles. So, of course, while I was growing up, I saw all of these shows that y'all are with William Cosby. Let me just say it like that. William Cosby put out there, and It's a Different World, Cosby Show, all that stuff. And I would see these people who were clearly in sororities and fraternities, and it looked like an amazing experience. I've always known that I wanted to attend Alabama State University, and the things that I would see on these TV shows to me depicted a lot of what I would probably experience and see while I was there. So when I got into Alabama State University, I of course saw step shows that were just happening on the campus during lunch times and at certain probate shows that were happening at designated times. I've seen all these different things. And when I wanted to see them, I would when I was not interested in having my introverted moments, I wouldn't. So yeah. Speaking of, I am considered to be an ambivert. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. I hope so. And that is somebody who is in between. I am not an introvert and I am not an extrovert. Sometimes I want to be all the way to myself and distance myself from everybody. There are other times that I am somehow like the life of the party. I am the one that everybody live for. And they think that I'm just so hilarious that I'm just like, not really trying to do that. I'm just being myself and telling the truth. I get, it's so funny. Like a lot of stuff I say I get from my daddy, but I really do get a lot of how my personality is, I feel, from my daddy and my grandmother, because they are hilarious naturally. Rest in peace to my grandmother. But they are naturally hilarious. They could literally be telling you the 100% God's honest truth. And depending on what is being said, it is so hilarious. It is like, it's true, but it's like, why? I don't know what it is. And it's not like they trying to be funny. It's just naturally happening. So anyway, y'all, that's how I come off at times to people too. Even if I'm being 100% serious, it's just what I'm talking about, the nature of whatever it is that I'm talking about, the way I might be saying it in that moment, even though I'm not trying to be funny and I'm actually being serious. So anyway, I had my moments where my interest was piqued when I was at Alabama State University, which was always the school of choice for me. I always knew I wanted to go there. My mother graduated from there. I had a lot of, I had several uncles and aunts who went there and graduated as well. So that was a plus. I had other teachers that I had come across before I actually entered into the college realm who went, and they knew of those same relatives because they've had run-ins with them, because they might have actually graduated with certain degrees that they themselves had. And they asked me if I knew of this certain teacher. And I'm like, yeah, that's my whatever teacher. And then they'll talk to me. And I'm like, Lord, now it's always a conversation. And I'm like, I did not want to bring this attention to myself. But anyway. But yeah, y'all. So I just always knew that I wanted to go to Alabama State University in Montgomery, Alabama, just in case y'all don't know where it is and what I'm talking about. It's a historically black college in Montgomery, Alabama. It started in Marion, Alabama, and it was called Lincoln. I don't know why my mind just went correct. Lincoln Normal, excuse me. That's what the original name of it was. Eventually, it was then moved from there to Montgomery, and it has been there since then. But yeah, Lincoln Normal is what it used to be. and it's now Alabama State University. A lot of colleges, a lot of historically Black colleges have gone through that stage because of, it was just a lot that you had to go through in order to be, there was just a lot that you had to go through in order, so many different channels that you had to go through back then in order to have an institution of higher learning, because there were so many roadblocks placed in front of these Black people who wanted to get this off the ground, who wanted the people coming after them to have something to look forward to. And it was just a lot, y'all. So anyway, so yeah, Alabama State University was always my choice. I always wanted to go there. It's like in my mind, I already knew I was going to get in. And if I somehow didn't get in, it's like, okay, what is wrong with me? Because the only thing in school that I used to hate was math. That was going to be the only thing that was going to keep me out, I guess. So I ended up getting into Alabama State. The running joke is Alabama State is the party school. It is, but there is a lot of education to get. There are a lot of people who are very well educated that comes from Alabama State University that stayed and they decided to teach at Alabama State University, or they went off and did other things and came back and paid it forward at Alabama State University, or they visit and still bring knowledge to the students who come later on down the road. So yeah, I'm talking about people who've been made famous in some more. So anyway, yeah, my interest peaked in reference to the sorority life, because I used to see this stuff on TV and I was like, that looks interesting. Oh, that looks like it's fun. That looks like it would be, you know, amazing to be a part of. So when I actually started experiencing college life, I was like, okay. And I'm very much so about doing my work, getting my lesson, as my parents called it as I was growing up. And so my grades were important. I obviously was making the grades that I needed to make in order to be a part of it. So if I did want to be a part of it, that was nothing that I was going to have to worry about. That aspect was definitely not something that I would have to worry about. For me, I am an ambivert, and that's just somebody who is in between an introvert and an extrovert. I am very much so. 1 minute I am all about leave me alone. I don't want to be around nobody. I'm just going to observe, and that's all it's going to be. And the next minute I am somehow the life of the party. Everybody live for me. I don't be understanding why. Like I still have my moments where I'm like, I don't understand what y'all live for me for, but okay. Like for real. Like there are so many people who to me, they would be considered to be the cool kids, but they be living for me. And I'm like, why though? Like I was the nerd. I was the nerd in school. I was already being picked on because I was fat. So it's like, what do you mean? So it's like when I got in college, a lot of that stuff changed. I grew out of my acne. And like, it's just a crazy stuff just started popping off. So anyway, y'all, when my interest peaked, a lot of other people who came in at the same time as me, they were actually going to the little interest meetings and all of that stuff, whether or not they were going to cut it or not. But I was just like, I'm focusing on my schoolwork. And then I just kept, for some reason, I just kept having this hesitant feel. I just was so like standoffish about it, and I didn't know why. And I'm like, okay. So eventually, as the years progressed, I started taking my social work courses. My favorite instructor at Alabama State University, I got in her class and she did my intro to social work class. She just so happened to be my teacher, and she was an, was she AKA? I think she was an AKA or a Delta. And you know, she got her pearls and all that stuff years and years, you know, whatever. She got all of her stuff years ago, like 20 plus years ago. And she just straight up told me, because she knew where I worked. I had a work study job. I was getting financial aid. That was going to be the only way I was going to attend college. So yeah, I had to work. And at first, apparently the way my mama was filling it out, I had to sign my check over every month in order for my tuition to be paid. And the person that I was working up under told me that my mama must have been filling it out wrong. So she told me the next time the financial aid time comes around to bring it to her. So I said, okay. And I did that. And then I started being able to get my checks so that I could, you know what I mean? Even though my checks weren't that much, because I was getting paid, $5.15 an hour. And by the time I left, I was getting $6.15 an hour. And that was 12 hours a week. One semester, they allowed me to do 14. I was so happy. I was like, ooh, I get 14 hours a week. Oh, y'all, I was so happy. And then I worked at Winn-Dixie for a year and a half. And I thought that I was going to need major surgery, and it started to affect my mental. And it was just a lot going on. So I ended up basically resigning from that position, but I was still doing my work study job. And then luckily, Lord, I didn't need that. I didn't need to be there anymore. Even though I loved it, I was the opening cashier. I loved being there and all that, but I needed to only focus on my schoolwork and my work study job. So anyway, the work study job that I had was at Records and Registration, which is the Office of Records, which is where you get your transcripts from. When you need to get registered for courses, that's where you get to go outside of when they actually have, because sometimes we were over there and there were times we were in the Acadome, and, it just depends on what time of the year it was and, how big of the flow it was going to be. And I actually had the authority to put in courses for people and all that. The only thing that I really did not have the authority to do was to go into the system and change grades for people who put in for a grade change, and they had all their correct paperwork and all. Like, that was the only thing I couldn't do. I knew exactly what I could do to do that. I would have had to use my supervisor's information to do that, but I knew how to do it, but I was not authorized to do so, so I didn't. So I said all that to say that when people found out that I worked in Records and Registration, they wanted to get into these sororities and these fraternities, and they have approached me knowing good and well I was making no money, and then finally making a little bit of money, which was nothing still. And they would offer me hundreds of dollars to change grades for them so that they can try to get into these fraternities and these sororities. Like, literally would roll up on me, "You work at Records and Registration, right?" I was like, "Yeah." And then, like, after the first person did it, I was like, okay, I already know what it is. I was so tired of my spirit. And then I told my supervisor, and she just was like, "Girl, just ignore them people because they don't make no sense. Don't lose your job and then get kicked out and expelled because of these people." Because there has been people who've done this and they've gotten caught and they lost their job from working in Records and Registration because they were actual full-time workers. From what I was told that this is something that has happened. And then they got expelled from school because they were doing both. Some of them were doing both at the same time. Other people, they were just literally just employed there, and they doing the most, getting money on the side because they were changing grades for people who could not somehow maintain. I think all you had to do was have a B average. And I'm like, how are you a freshman trying to get into a sorority, freshman or a sophomore trying to get into a sorority, and you ain't even got a B average? All you got to do is take your English course, like you taking core courses. How is it that you can't do that? Why are you here? Like, I can't. But anyway, yeah, I had been approached by so many people because they found out where I worked. And I was just like, do you understand how many people there actually had money to burn that approached me? I would have been able to buy me a brand new car, nice clothes, like all of y'all. These people was really doing the most. So yeah, when I saw that was already a red flag for me. So, I still was kind of interested, but at the same time, I was like, okay, these people doing the most. So then I ended up doing my intro to social work courses. And some kind of way, I think somebody saw the instructor. I think it was with their anniversary. That's what happened. Their anniversary happened for the sorority, and she wore her pearls or whatever it was. I think she was a Delta, and she had, I don't know if she had a purse, she had a bag or something, and it had it on there. Because normally she dressed professionally, because she actually had a contract job with the state of Alabama as well. So she had a full-time job working for the state of Alabama doing that, and she was a full-time teacher at Alabama State University. Like, she was doing the most. So anyway, somebody, you know, asked her about it, and I think I said something to her about it, and she was like, you know what, it's not about sisterhood anymore. And, you know, when she said that, it just struck a nerve in me. I don't know why, but I was like, wait, wow, that was a word. She was just like, it's not about sisterhood anymore. And a lot of people are doing it for the wrong reasons. A lot of people are out here doing it because they want to be seen. They want the attention that comes along with it, and not in a good way. They like how they are able to go to the parties, and they're being seen in their jackets and all the stuff that has their, you know, their line name on it, and all this stuff that's on the sleeve of the jacket and all this other stuff. And they just want to be able to go to the bookstore and go anywhere and buy stuff that says that sorority on it, and everything becomes about that sorority and nothing about the work that you're supposed to do while you're in the sorority. It is supposed to be about brotherhood. It is supposed to be about sisterhood. It is supposed to be about actual service. But a lot of people lost focus on that years ago, apparently. And I was just like, well, She said, in all honesty, if you could somehow navigate through all of that, the best thing that they good for nowadays is hopefully somebody seeing you and say, oh, hey, frat, oh, hey, sorority sis. And they help you get on somewhere when you graduate from there. And I'm like, that's sad. Like, it ain't, a lot of people apparently are not up on their community service hours and all that. Like, it's bad. Like, I used to hear about certain people being on probation because of stuff like that. They're not even clocking enough community service hours, but they up here saying, oh, I'm a Q, oh, I'm an Alpha, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that. And they ain't doing nothing but going to the parties. They ain't maintaining their grades. They not doing community service. They not doing nothing that they supposed to do. So yeah, anyway, so that was another red flag for me. So I was like, okay. So I had a really, really, really serious moment where I really wanted to be, my top pick was Sigma Gamma Rho. I want to be a Sigma Gamma Rho, and then my next choice was a Zeta. So yeah. The Sigma Gamma Rhos, on my campus, there were very few of them. I think they had the least number of members. But everybody that I'd encountered who was one, they seemed really cool. They actually seemed like they were about the sisterhood. But then, like everybody else, man, I have seen people, especially the AKAs and the Deltas. I've seen the women from those sororities talk trash to their line sisters, talk to them like they were trash. And I'm just like, y'all supposed to be a sisterhood. And this how y'all talk to one another? Do I really want to be a part of something like this? Like, no, I can't. I have seen it. I was like, oh no. And I mean, it was a whole lot of mess in it. Then one of my relatives, she was trying to pledge a band sorority, and she was getting hazed. Her brother was trying to do the band sorority. He was getting hazed. Yeah. He just so happens to be the rapist. Yeah. So anyway, let me zoom past that. But yeah, a lot of hazing goes on, and that is something that's supposed to be banned. It's something that's not supposed to be going on. At one point in time, while I was there, like early on, it was so bad that they were threatening to like take everybody off the campus. They had already taken the before I'd even gotten there, they had taken the Sigmas off, the dudes, the guys. I forgot the whole name of it, but they are blue and white, just like the Zetas. But they had already taken them off the campus, and they were just about to come back like a couple of years before I graduated. Like, I was like, what in the world? And then I think they was about to go back out again. Like, I don't know what in the world they be doing. They be doing the most. But yeah, some guy, I think in the band Hazing, he had gotten hurt so bad that his relatives had to be called, and like they was doing the most. My cousin had paddles broken, thick 2 to 3 inch paddles that they were being beaten with and hazed with that had been broken on their behinds because they were hazing them like this. Like, it is ridiculous hazing. Hazing is banned, but these people are still sneaking and doing it. It is still a part of the process. And I'm just like, I did not like being spanked as a child up until my mama finally stopped. I'm not trying to have no grown random heifer beating on me because I'm trying to be in a sorority. Like, I can't, like, it's just too many red flags for me. I ain't got time. I was done. I was all the way done when I heard about the paddles being broken on people. How you break a 3-4 inch, 2 to 4 inch thick paddle made of wood on somebody? It ain't like it was weak wood. I was just like, oh no, you hit them that hard that they breaking on folks. I'm done. Goodbye. And I'm talking about people had bruises and broken bones and some more. Like, they was doing the most. I ain't got time for it. No. So anyway, it's crazy that they were trying to do all this stuff and neither one of them graduated. Neither one of them barely even made it through a semester or two. But I digress. So anyway, and it was pretty much because they were all about the partying aspect of it, which is what a lot of people associate Alabama State with, and that's not cool because we are really about a lot of amazing things. Like, they've done so much. But anyway, so yeah, y'all, I was dead set against it. And I was just like, oh no. So at that point, I was like, oh no, I'm done. I am all the way done. I am done because I think they did an expose on all that happened. That's how bad that hazing incident was. So yeah, y'all. So there were times where random stuff would pop up, and a lot of people that I had been dealing with, whether they were social work affiliated or not, they started getting into these sororities. They live, breathe, and die sororities, and like a lot of them are like super religious as it is. So I started seeing them getting into that. So I was just like, oh, okay, cool. You know, I ain't got nothing to say, ain't got nothing to do. Who am I? Do what you do. But okay, let me see where I want to go with this. I actually still had questions I'm not understanding. I was like, wait, where did this stuff even come from? Like, what is going on? So I'm the type of person, I like to research stuff. So I looked into some stuff and I was like, okay. And again, it seemed like it really was about the sisterhood, but I don't know what's going on nowadays. But so recent years, things will pop up. I literally will be minding my business and something will just pop up and I'm like, oh, it'll pop up in my recommendations and I'll watch it. So there have been people who have been denouncing the fraternities and the sororities that they've been in. You can find these videos on YouTube and various other platforms, I guess, but I know I've seen them on YouTube. So the last one that I can remember that I saw was this girl. I forgot what she was, but to make a long story short, one of their line sisters passed away. And everybody was going to show up to the funeral. And, you know, of course, it's sad. This person passed away, all this other stuff. Her family was there and the sorority girls were there, all of this, right? So apparently the line sisters, the people who was over the whole, like everybody, they went and said, okay, we need a moment with the body. So they were able to have a moment with the body before before the family even could see her. And apparently they did some kind of ritualistic hoodoo or something over the body. And people said that the whole atmosphere changed in the room because I think people had been seeing her or something. Either people had already been viewing her body, and then they said they needed a moment and they wanted to, you know, do something special for her. But the gist of what I'm saying to y'all, the main takeaway is that people said that the whole atmosphere changed. It didn't feel right in there anymore. And it was like they cast something over her. And it's probably done something, could have damned her spirit. Like anything could have happened. I was just like, what? Like I was so all the way done. Like I have heard so many horror stories about these people who have been like, you know what? Here's my revelation. I'm done with y'all. Bye. Versus the people who live, breathe, die for these fraternities and these sororities. And I just can't. I can't do it. I cannot do it. And I mean, my sister is a part of some law fraternities. And like I told y'all briefly in the recap review for Queen Sugar that I was doing, and me and my sister was discussing it a little bit, but not really. The only thing that we really discussed was the fact that, you know, she didn't know that I wanted to pledge. And that I just straight up told her I'm not even going to get into it. I'm not even going to get into the specifics right now. One day, like when we're face to face, maybe. But she was like, well, you know, I'm a part of several different legal fraternities and all this other stuff. I was like, okay, do what you do. You know what I'm saying? I didn't say that. I was just saying that to myself. But yeah, I was like, because she was trying to compare. It was just a whole nother conversation. But anyway, I just was letting her know, like, hey, do what you do. I'm not going to tell, oh, this is what it was. We were talking about the woman who, it was a viral video that we saw that came out 2 days ago. She sent it to me and I told her I'd already saw it and that I had shared it somewhere, but wasn't nobody trying to hear me. And it was a video of a woman who was on a plane and she wouldn't put her mask on, and she done went all the way off and talking about I ain't wearing my mask and why y'all got a problem. And then ultimately she gonna say, oh, y'all put me off the plane because I'm white. And I'm like, girl, almost everybody on that flight was white. What is you talking about? So then she got off the plane, and before she got off the plane, she said, I hate you. And she said something about she hates us black people. And I'm like, almost everybody on the plane was white. Like you singled out like the 1 or 2 specks of black that you saw in the room and you mad. I mean, everybody was just like, put the mask on though. Like that's all you got to do. And that plane was packed. But we were talking about, if you know that you don't want to wear your mask, you need to make other arrangements so you don't go anywhere or travel in any way that is going to make it so that you can't do what you want to do. I'm not going to force nothing on you. But if you know that you're going to be out and about and you know what the mandate is, you got to abide by the rules. It is what it is. You can't get mad at everybody else and say, F y'all. But that's exactly what this woman was doing. And so I told her, look, I ain't forcing nothing on nobody. Y'all do what y'all do. That just wasn't for me. And, you know, that's when she found out that I did want to be in a sorority, but some stuff came out. And I told her that she would probably be very shocked if she knew just some of the more recent things that have come to light. And I've just been like, oh no. So, you know, the conversation was left right there. The older we get, the more some stuff come out and it's just be like, okay, we just gonna have our little hiatus. Then we'll find some more stuff to bond on and talk some more. I mean, there's no love lost or anything. It's just, I know that I cannot go there with her because of the lawyer spirit. And I just already know we would be forever still going back and forth on stuff. And I don't like to argue with people. And do what you do, believe what you want to believe. But I just know that a sorority just ain't for me. I'm not finna sit up. A lot of people I've had people to basically sell their souls. These people have signed IOUs to folks saying, I promise you, I'm gonna pay you this amount of money. They have gone to the people who have had to be the ones to say whether or not they're gonna get in and say, please. And they are paper members. I don't know if any of y'all know about this, but there are people who are considered to be paper members because they got paid in order to get in. They paid somebody in order to get into these fraternities and these sororities outside of grades. You know, it is like, okay, you're doing the most. Or they've done like people have approached me and tried to do, and they've gone to someone and they were like, hey, I ain't making the grade I need to make. Can you change my grade for this price? Or I'll do this big favor for you. And it's like, you're doing the most just to say, I am wearing these colors. I am in this. Like, why? To me, it comes off that a lot of people feel as though the fraternity or the sorority is bigger than them. The way they act, that's what it seems like. And I'm like, it's just too much. And I ain't gonna lie to you, the people who I knew and still know that are in these fraternities and the sororities that were like really, 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 really big on Christianity or whatever religion, it's like, it's now the order is sorority, religion, and if they're married, you know, they go down the line like that. And I'm just like, oh no, y'all doing too much. But anyway, I would love for people to come in here, comment down below, let me know whether or not you are in a fraternity or a sorority, which ones, if you've ever considered being in one, if you're not in one, and what are your thoughts in general on them. Do you believe just the one instance that I told y'all about the people praying over the body and the aura change and what it could be? Like, let me know. I would love to know. Let's get down to